after we finish our raw processing in Capture One, we always have to export the image. It's not so easy as in Camera Raw, where we can just hit open and the image will be open in Photoshop, and even better when we hit open as a smart object, so we can re-edit our image in non-destructive way. It's not so easy in Capture One. For some, it might be a little bit troublesome. Did I ever found this troublesome? Never. In Capture One, you can go to File and then just hit Open with Adobe Photoshop. So after you finish your raw processing, you can do this, but if I have to be honest, I never opened that way. I always, as a first, export my image. So let's go to our export section, to our process receipt, and let's open process receipt, and let's talk a little bit about format. As you can see, at first you can choose the format. There's also process receipt for you to choose, so I have the biggest option actually chosen, TIFF 16-bit, but soon let me talk about this. So as a format, you never want to choose JPEG. First of all, when I hit JPEG, as you can see, JPEG are not 16-bit, so we have much less information. So trust me, you don't want to edit JPEG image in Photoshop because you might get some banding, it will not be so easy for you to work with colors. So you always want to process to the 16-bit image. And of course, you have choice. You have TIFF, DNG, or PSD, of course. Like DNG is not really the good option probably, and the two options is TIFF or PSD. I used to export as a PSD, but some people say it's not really convenient because when you once export into PSD, you cannot come back with the same file to the Capture One, which, as I believe, doesn't have support for PSD files. It's just Photoshop file. So you can export, but you cannot go back. Though, if you export TIFF file, you can reopen this later in Capture One. And the question is it a big difference? I have to be honest with you that I never come back with my TIFF file exported in Capture One to Capture One. I did come back after I finished my retouching in Photoshop, because I felt I want to play with colors in Capture One a little bit more. So it happens after I finished all retouching, but I never come back with the same TIFF file straight away after back into Capture One, because I prefer to, like, if I feel there is something wrong with my exported file, I just can open Capture One and improve this once again, and then just export this once again. So I never came back with this. So choices for you. I prefer TIFF file though. So TIFF file 16-bit ICC profile I have as a Pro Photo RGB. It's not must be. Actually, much better choice would be probably Adobe RGB, because with Pro Photo RGB later on, very often I have to save my files for web anyway. Many people prefer this that way. You could hear probably that Pro Photo RGB is, of course, the biggest color space. That's the truth, but it's not so often used, if I have to be honest for you. So destination, over here we choose our destination of the file. So I would go through once again through my messy desktop, and where I'm exporting this probably to courses, and then that would be somewhere in my processed file that I already have over here. So let's hit cancel right now. Also, output naming, you can just name the image as you really want. So it can be number 1, it can be anything. Just name your image. On the bottom, you have summary, all of the informations, and if everything ready, if you choose your destination file, if you choose your output naming, and of course the process receipt, you can finally hit process. So that's how I export my files in Capture One.